Well, I don't know what to tell you guys. That was a little bit weird. A little bit weird. It just collapsed. I have no idea. I don't know if it's my computer. I have no idea. So now I am faced with trying to start over and go back to your questions. So hit me with it again. And I don't think I did anything to make that happen. So folks, this happened a couple of years ago. And I have no idea what it was. This is weird. Weird. Have no idea what happened here, but we're going to try to make the best of it we can. Makes me want to start drinking. All right, guys, let me know who's there. So, I'll tell you what. This may make me do something different. I've been kind of digging into YouTube a little bit more, and it sure looks to me like YouTube Live might be a better format for this to do this. So I don't know what's going on. I have no idea what happened. I didn't do anything to cause it that I know of. Didn't hit any buttons. Nothing. I don't know what happened here. So anyway, I'm off track. So we're talking about fish kills, talking about Mark Fletcher moving his water, and geez, I don't know. I'm going to end up deleting this video when we get through here tonight because this just aggravates the snot out of me. Okay, John Henry's back. Who all's back? We got like 8 people. Ron, okay. All right, guys. Hey, start throwing some questions at me because I got totally sidetracked when this frickin' thing died. I think maybe we need to have a little eulogy for Facebook Live. I don't know, because I'm about to get tired of this. I'm going to explore going live on YouTube. YouTube, whatever it is. I'm going to dig into that. I'm not that sophisticated. Yeah, maybe I am. I don't know. I have people. So, hey, Bobby, dude, I don't know what happened. No idea. So, you guys pitch your questions back at me because I think I'm at that point to start talking about the questions. Yep. Bill, I'm going to call you and talk about the Institute of Higher Pondology because I know you want to come. We got to figure that out. While I'm talking about pondology, Bobby's on here. We've got 13 people signed up so far, and all the beds at the ranch are taken. They were taken about 2 or 3 weeks ago. We've got some hotel rooms available, which Leanne's working on that. She's kind of got that handled. And I've got some very, very great speakers coming. I sound like Donald Trump. Some very, very great speakers. It's beautiful. I have a beautiful Institute of Higher Pondology. So, he's a way better president than I am. So, we're going to have an outstanding Institute of Higher Pondology coming up in October. We've got I think 6 or 7 slots left. So if you guys want a slot, you need to tell us pretty quick. We're going to go analyze Jimmy Houston's lakes. We're going to analyze Bobby West's 15-acre lake right there, and we've got data tracking back 4 years on that lake. And you guys are going to get some more great hands-on stuff. Texas Hunters coming. They're going to talk a little bit about feeding fish, which I think they want me to talk about feeding fish more than they do. I've got Landon White or his running buddy Patrick coming down from Wisconsin to talk about water quality and microbes. Mossback fish habitats coming. We've got some great sponsors. It's going to be an epic event. It's going to be the best one yet. And many thanks to Jimmy Houston for letting us come and analyze his lake. So here's the way that's going to work. We're going to take at least 2 electrofishing boats. Jimmy's got a 100-acre lake, and he's got a 77-acre lake, and we're going to analyze both those lakes for him. Now, what John Dyer is going to do, he's going to help assimilate the data, put all that together, and then we're going to pass that to Jimmy in a report. So it's going to be an epic event. And one of the things that happens at these events that I think is just cool as heck is we have a lot of people that become friends, and then text threads start happening. A lot of guys have common interests, And when that happens, they start having conversations. They get to know each other. They become good friends. And good gosh, it turns into something spectacular. There's Chris Blood with the hashtag Pond Boss Magazine. Chris, earlier, I don't know what happened, but I got kicked out of Facebook Live for a little bit, so we had to start over, which I don't know how to bring those two things together, but we're going to have to figure that out. Hello, Brent Ruggieri. First rain today in 10 weeks. More to come. Okay, someone asked a question about temperature swings. That was probably Tim Stewart's question. I didn't read it. Tim, if you're there, come back. Breaker 19, come back. Someone asked a question about temperature swings. I know more about mood swings than temperature swings. No, wait, no, I didn't know about temperature swings. We went from the high 80s and 90s to 60s with a low last night of 46. Precautions? Well, aerate, which you're doing, Ron. So what's going to happen there? Hey, Alex, I see you. Mark Hicks. Okay, so Ron, here's the thing. It's running in the 80s and the 90s and the 60s with a low last night of 46. You know what I'm going to tell you? I want to think about this. Ron is south of Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I'm going to presume that when you say the temperature went from the high 80s and 90s, that's the air temperature to the 60s. What that suggests to me is that your water temperature is probably in the low 70s. Here's where I'm going. You don't really want your water temperature to rise and fall more than 10 degrees in a day. So it could be a really, I'm going to say could be, would be, should be. I'm going to tell you what you need to do. I would turn my aeration system off. Because if you're shoving water up to 46 degree temperature, air temperature, and the water's in the 70s and it drops more than 10 degrees overnight, you're running the risk of creating some situations to stress the fish enough to make them susceptible to diseases. Most specifically, ick. You guys look that up, ICH, and there's a big long word for it, and I don't remember what it is. But I think I would turn my aeration system off, and once those 46 degree temperatures, once that front passes, then kick it back on. Kick it back on. Now, take that as you wish, because I'm a guy from Texas telling a guy in Michigan who raises fish, has a sawmill, and is a badass woodworker what to do. He already knows. Mark Hicks. There's Joel Danauer from Louisiana. So we got Michigan and Louisiana today. That's pretty cool. My copper-nosed bluegill will only hit red worms and fathead minnows during the spring and early summer, but here recently I noticed that it will only bite small pieces of shrimp. Do their metabolism change from summer to fall months? No, their metabolism does not change. Their mood does. You know, so here's something to know about bluegills. When you're feeding them, like I know you are, Mark, is their metabolism rate is based on the temperature of the water, not based on what they eat. So when they're feeding on that fish food, probably Aquamax MVP, they don't have a mood. If they're hungry, they're going to eat. If you invade their territory, they're going to strike. You know, so the fact that they want to eat shrimp has nothing to do with their metabolism. It's got more to do with the temperature and some changes in habitat or some changes in water chemistry, way, way, way more than it does from their metabolism rates. Bill Schrum says we've had a big cool front and 8/10 of rain. Water temperature dropped 10 degrees in 2 days. Setchi dish visibility is 36 inches and increasing. What should I be watching for? No aeration. Since you don't have any aeration, I wouldn't be watching for anything. I think that when the temperature gets down in the mid-70s, your feeding is probably going to rise. I think your fish are going to be more aggressive, and I presume they've been fairly aggressive anyway, but when the water temperature gets down in the mid to low 70s, you're going to escalate. John Henry, most of my neighbors have had a fish kill over the last month. You know, this year is fish kill central. I've seen more posts, read more words, had more phone calls about fish kills this year than they have forever. You know, so, and it's, the correlation has got to be revolving around weather, clouds, rainfall, high temperatures, pushed back by a cold front, which drops the temperatures, and high fertility. That's the correlation between all these things. Let's see what John says. Most of my neighbors have had a fish kill over the last month. So far, no issues, but expect to get 3 inches of rain Thursday. 3 inches will raise my pond 6 inches north central Arkansas. Last week it was 100, at least 3 days, but this week it's low 80s, 65 at night. What's the odds of a fish kill? Okay, the odds of a fish kill goes up with a rain coming in on top of hot water. The risk of a fish kill goes up. So now, those risks change based on the conditions. So let me tell you what that means. So when you've got hot temperatures like that, your water's, and you don't have aeration, your water's stratified. You've got, in the upper layer of water, John, your temperature's in the 90s. Then you drop down 2 feet, it's in the mid 80s. Then you get down near the thermocline, it's in the low 80s. You get the thermocline, it's in the 70s. And when you get below the thermocline, it's in the low 70s, upper 60s. So when you get that rain, and if the temperature of the water drops down to the point where it's the same temperature as the water below the thermocline, those two mix. And the water below the thermocline is toxic. It's anoxic. It has no oxygen in it. So when you take water that has no oxygen, you mix it with water that has oxygen, the oxygen levels go up for the bottom layer and go down for the upper layer. And as long as that oxygen concentration stays up high enough that the fish can survive, they won't die. There's a few other factors at play besides oxygen. Hydrogen sulfide gas. That's kind of the most obvious. But there's so much going on below the thermocline that when the thermocline water below the thermocline mixes with the upper layer of water, it's so dynamic. There's so many things that change that can create a fish kill, not just oxygen levels dropping. So what are the odds of a fish kill with the rain coming in? 20%. I'm guessing. Most of your neighbors have had a fish kill. Well, they've already had the fish kill. If you hadn't had one yet, your odds are better than theirs were. So, you know what? I have no idea what the odds are, but I'm going to tell you 20%. I made that up. I have no idea. What do I think of Triton fish food? Brent Regari says. As long as whatever the fish food is, whatever brand it is, if you look at the label, the number one ingredient is fish meal, and the protein levels are plus, 40% plus. I'm pretty good with it. And the thing you got to know about different fish foods serve different purposes. The grain-based fish foods are great for channel catfish, for tilapia. They're good for bluegill if you don't want to grow big bluegill. Bluegill are carnivores. But if you really, really, really want to grow some big fish and you want to expedite growth rates and help improve fecundity, look that word up. I learned that at A&M. How they can reproduce. Fecundity. Spawning. Bay, what are you going to say about that? Hope Bay came back. I don't know where he went. Haven't seen him. So, as long as you got the right fish food for the right purpose, fish are going to do well. And the thing about like Aquamax MVP, and I don't know all the labels on Triton because I don't pay attention to it. Like you think I should, or maybe like I should. I don't know. If fish meal is the number one ingredient, then that's a great fish food for carnivorous fish. Chuck Brinkman checking in from west of St. Louis. Good evening, Bob. I had a minor fish kill a couple weeks ago. Interesting part is we found majorly large bluegill, about 150 of them. Only a dozen larger catfish and only 2 bass floated up. Been feeding again to see what's left, and we have multiple large catfish, mid-sized bluegill. Any thoughts on why not many bass were lost? Yeah, I'll tell you why. I think the fish that you lost were geriatric. That's my gut reaction. You know, the older the fish are, the more susceptible they are to stressors. And you had a stressor that didn't last very long, whatever it was. I don't know if it was water quality, a temperature change. There's a variety of stressors that can happen to fish. So if you didn't lose many bass, it was probably because those were your younger fish and they were able to survive with the oxygen levels, etc. Chris Blood, Bob, if someone wanted you to come out and evaluate their lake, create a management plan, what does that process look like? Well, let me tell you exactly how that works. I'll circle back on that. Alex, have you ever seen a pond with smallmouth? Yes. No largemouth? Yes. Just smallmouth and panfish? Yes. So as long as you got the best habitat, cool water, and you can avoid largemouth bass, that's a pretty fun way to go. You know, largemouth bass, man, they will eat you out of house and home. They will outcompete smallmouth in every setting. I don't care where you are on the planet. But if you've got a smallmouth bass pond with pumpkin seeds, yellow perch, you know, great places for them to reproduce, you can do pretty well with a smallmouth bass pond. All right, so here where Chris is helping me do some marketing here. A little sip of ice water here, folks. Actually, I had a guy email me yesterday thinking about coming to the Institute of Higher Pondology, which he's going to come. He just bought 170 acres over near Lake Fork, and he's building an 18-acre lake and a 7-acre lake. And this question to me was, will the Institute of Higher Pondology help me? Yes, it will. Absolutely. So when I called him, because I'm going to call everybody that's interested in the Institute of Higher Pondology, I started asking him, do you have a habitat plan in place? Well, no, we kind of think we do, but that's why we want to come. Well, he's building the lake now. You know, and by the time the Institute rolls around, he's going to be done. If it rains, he's going to have water. So I said, you know what? I probably need to come over there and kind of dial into that now. So here's the process. First thing I ask is, what are your goals? What's the mission? And he wants to know what your goals are. Oftentimes, guys don't know their goals. You know, we kind of got to dig into that and just raise the hood on it and say, why'd you buy the place? What's the point? Why do you have a lake? Why do you want a lake? And then you start kind of pulling out of them what the mission is and what it is that they envision that they want to do, you know, to help have a great place for grandkids or clients. And like with Chris Blood, it might be, you know, some of the vendors. It could be customers that buy Texas Hunter products, you know, and we want to be able to entertain them, whatever the goals are. That's the first thing we do. What are the goals? Then the second thing is, now that we know what the goals are, that's our target. So if we don't have a target, we can't hit it. So that's the very first thing I do is dial into that target. Then the next thing I do is assess their resources. What's the pond like? What's the budget like? Do they have equipment? Ranch manager? They have a place to stay? Do they have heavy equipment? Do they have a bulldozer? You know, what do they have? So then once I know what that is, then we create a game plan which includes assessing the lakes or ponds. It includes, you know, electrofishing, whatever it is. We go out and assess and evaluate, and then based on the goals, based on the timeline, based on a budget, based on the way that person thinks, then we create a game plan to help them get from where they are to where they want to be. That's the process that I go through. And the fees I charge are based on, you know, the scope of the project. So one of the first things, people ask me, what's it going to cost? Well, I got to figure out the scope of the work. And then I'm going to shoot you a fee for my consulting. Part of what I want to do with my consulting fee, Chris Blood, is if I can charge somebody a fair price that's worth it to them and worth it to me, and I can save them at least that much money and not paying the dumb tax It's a winner deal. And I give that a lot of thought. If I can't be of some help to them, I'm not going to do it. If it's not fun, I'm not going to do it. I got a call from a guy today, and he has some trepidation. And I just told him, I said, buddy, he wanted me to come and look at some ponds, but he only wants to manage one of them. And, he said, how do I know what you're worth? Then, my comment is, if it's not fun, I'm not going to do it. If it's not worth it to you, I don't want you to do it. So I said, you know what? Think about it and call me back. If it has value, I'll come do it. If not, I won't, because I got a lot to do. Let's see what Brent's got here. And while we're doing that, holy cow, Brent, that's a great question. Sounds like a deeper, larger ponds have a higher risk of turnover as opposed to smaller, shallow. That's exactly right. And if you think about it like this, I looked at an 80-acre lake. Holy cow, this was crazy. This had to be 20 years ago. I got a call from a guy in Houston that had bought a place near Karnes City, Texas. And what I found out, I didn't know this, was there are some uranium mines down around Karnes City, Texas. Well, this was a uranium pit. It was 80 acres, surface acres. It was round, 130 feet deep. It was like a freaking ice cream cone. And he'd had 3 fish kills in 5 years. So as I started investigating it, that freaking 80-acre lake, fracking, was, the thermocline was sitting at about 30 feet. So what that meant was all the water below 30 feet was anoxic. And that was about 2/3 the volume of the water. Most lakes, half the volume of water sitting on top, the other half is sitting below the thermocline. But in that ice cream cone shaped lake, which had a road, you could see it on side scan sonar, there's a road that spiraled down all the way to the bottom. At the very bottom, it was probably 30 feet in diameter when they quit digging for uranium. And it started filling up with water, so they had to get out. I did not see if it was radioactive, which probably should have. But yes, deeper ponds can tend to have a higher risk of a well, they're all going to have a turnover, but the deeper ponds have a higher risk of causing a fish kill when the turnover happens. Hello, Scott Groons. Danny Mack, at last. Howdy, Bob. I've been here most of the time, but could not see the comments or post a comment. Rebooted here. Well, I had to reboot too, dude. So it's 8:08. Let me do a commercial. I got to do an interview with David Schneiderman, Easy Docks of Texas. That'll be on the Pond Boss YouTube page. I think it launches at midnight tonight. I also got to do an interview with Jonathan Lusk, Ken our Ken, about birddogit.com. Check that out. Check out birddogit.com. Check out Easy Docks of Texas. If you need a floating dock, if your pond level fluctuates up and down, Danny Max doesn't. But Danny Mac doesn't need a dock. Hell, he can cast way past the other side of his pond down there in San Antonio. But if you're looking for a dock and a pond that fluctuates, give him a call. Now, they're not cheap, but they're good. They're fabricated. They snap into place. You can change them. There's a lot of things I like about Easy Docks. Easy Docks of Texas. Purina Mills, still love their feed. My gosh, that Aquamax MVP, that's gotten to be my favorite feed now. Texas Hunter Feeders, Cody Borkfield's going to be at the next Institute of Higher Pondology. If you have not signed up for that, you need to hurry up. We're running out of slots. I know this was going to sell out. We're going to limit it to 20 to 22 people, depending on who they are and how they're going to contribute. We're going to have 20 to 22 people show up for that deal. And it's going to be the best one yet. We're going to analyze Jimmy Houston's lakes. We're going to analyze the West Lake there at the West Haven Ranch. It's going to be pretty fun. So, Christopher Aguilar, our Boudin man from South L.A. Okay, Danny Mac, with some familiarity of uranium mounting in South Texas, that pit, instead of being reclaimed, like it got sold as a relic for $1, just guessing. Well, Danny, I don't know about that. I mean, I wouldn't pay $1 for a lake because I'd be scared of it. I'm trying to think of a cute comment about radioactivity, but it's not coming to me. You know, so that guy bought like 500 acres, high fenced it, grew deer, and that lake was pretty daggum amazing because it was perfectly round. It was an ice cream cone. The perimeter was covered up in cattails, and it wouldn't grow fish worth of crap. It was not because of the radioactivity. It was because of the depth of the lake. I mean, the pitch of that lake, I mean, it was going down in a, 90 degree, no, more than that, steeper than a 45-degree angle, whatever that is. Christopher Aguilar, Ron's coming. Ron signed up. He's been paying. I know he's coming. You need to check him out. Ping him a little bit. Y'all can room together. Y'all can be rooming upstairs in the main lodge. So guys, you know, this has been a little bit of a train wreck tonight by getting kicked off early. So not sure what happened. My wife keeps looking at me in there, and I'm going to go hang out with her. So I'm going to wrap this up right now and tell you that I've enjoyed hanging out with you, which I have. It's been a little frustrating with that little freaking faux pas. But next Tuesday night, I will be in Bryan College Station. I'm going to go to the convocation. You know what? I don't know if I can broadcast next Tuesday night. I'll have to figure that out. I probably won't broadcast next Tuesday, but I will let you guys know. Hey, spread the word about the Institute of Higher Pondology. Be sure to check out the Pond Boss YouTube page. At midnight, I got 2 videos launching tonight, and then I've got spaced out on Mondays and Thursdays for the next 3 weeks. And Bobby, those videos were some that I shot with Chico. Chico shot them. They're at Bays Lake back in March. And there's some very, very interesting videos. And we're editing more to come. So guys, I'm going to wrap it up and call it a day. And probably won't see you next Tuesday, but I will see you the following Tuesday. So stay tuned for more intel, and I appreciate you guys. So for now, adios.